This is water we're pumping out of the ritual baths. The challenge of the elements. It looks like, I think the forecast is no rain. It's kind of strange up there, but I think it's just cloud and fog. And here I figure we go on a little different stroll this morning. Can't go up on the mountain yet because it's too wet and the shoes cake up, and the time frame doesn't allow me the luxury of allowing that to happen and then cleaning it up afterwards, cleaning up the shoes and avoiding a mess in the house. All this lush vegetation here, wild. Another reason I came out here was because of the thick clouds, so we're not missing anything as far as I know at the water edge with that big black curtain. And in the dedication of the temple, we have Solomon's prayer, and the cloud had come down. The presence of God had filled the temple, that image from Mount Sinai. And the cloud covering the people as they came through the desert. Sometimes we have a negative idea of clouds. And then obviously a cloud in this climate is also a shade, so it's a very positive, welcome reality. The cloud of mystery, you can't see in the cloud. You're there, but you can't see. This is the Franciscan property from the other side here. We usually go down on the east side there. And here we're west of it. The sun usually rises in the east most days here. And so with Solomon then we have, well, so just skip in here to be easier. At this point it's the same. A little close up to this vegetation for you. So Solomon has expresses a beautiful prayer. The experience of closeness to God, of God's closeness to us, is one of the greatest treasures for the human being. That's water there, people. That we can be in communion with God. That's what our hearts were made for. Always. We're made for communion with God. And our hearts are restless until they rest in Him. To live in that fullest expression of our humanity, to rise to the occasion, to go deep into the utmost depths of our being, the utmost source of our existence, of our life, the abyss of love, the mountains and peaks of love, the vast expanses and intensities and colors. Guys, do you want to go through these bars here, or you want to go on this difficult spot around here? For me, it's easier to go this way. It's clean and dry, no sticky clay. This is the burial place of a sheikh, and I always forget his name. See, there were some little birds in there, just came out. The traffic goes by here and nobody notices. May he rest in peace. There's quite a dip here. There's the sun. To open up our hearts in prayer before God, to be able to praise God, to thank Him, to wonder at His majesty and awe. And there's a whole path of purification of the human being for that, because there's a great sense of unworthiness, of inauthenticity, lack of authenticity, a lack of being up to being in communion with God because of decisions we make, behaviors. We know what God expects of us, especially the more we grow and bear fruit and have insight. If you have visitors, you want to get cleaned up and ready. And what's the readiness to be in communion with God? If God is a God of forgiveness, a God of compassion, a God of life, a God of love. And we have a contrast in the gospel today. There's hardly any group of people that Jesus treats with such, such shocking roughness as with the Pharisees. And in a certain sense, there was a lot shared with the Pharisees because they were very devout people. They were absolute monotheists. They were consecrated to God. They had treasured the great tradition of their people. They longed for purity, to be holy, to be able to be in communion with God, to enter the temple with pure hands, pure hearts, pure minds. But a lot of the rules were focused on externals. And with the will to regulate externals, sometimes the core goods were missing. And Jesus points that out today in some things that are difficult for us to understand. But let's say your parents are failing in their health and their life, and you're a very religious person, and you say, well, I have dedicated all of this to God, so I can't help you. It basically boils down to that. And so Jesus calls out this blindness to the true call of charity, of love, of honoring your parents, taking care of them. All the life we have, we would be zero without our parents. It's a wonderful term that's used in explaining the role of parents in the begetting of life, that they are co-creators. So obviously the creator is God, but they're in a teamwork with God. In their love, in their fruitful love, the child who is conceived is also absolutely incomplete biologically without a soul. So God's breath given into the dust of the earth gives us life. The divine dimension of every human being, made in the image and likeness of God. And then the call on us to show great solidarity with people in need. And this basic charity is one of the best ways to be in communion with God. So it's not so much about rules of washing hands and dishes and all these things that grew up as part of a religious culture with the best of intentions, but ended up being a barrier to truly being capable of communion with God. And that's why religious practice always has to be reviewed, because the greatest commandment is love, and the greatest law is the good of souls, what's going to help them to communion with God. It's the beauty of the two readings, the way they come together today, in true adoration before God. And that's carried out in a life, not so much of formalism, but of absolutely of charity, because God is love. And if we want to be in communion with God, then we need to be people of great love. I think that's enough for today. I should stop talking and leave you some time to enjoy and think and ponder and treasure that identity you are, image and likeness of God, who is love, and that your life today will be a life of great love, of patience, kindness, understanding, forgiveness, reconciliation, to enter into full communion with God. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators. That's the walk we came on. I'll be heading back there shortly after the Instagram. See you later, alligators.